What's going on, guys? Paul, Country Strong Outdoors. Got a couple of more ways to use the Bowline knot that I want to show you, and also a couple of other knots that are a little different. And stick with us, check it out, learn to tie these knots. You're going to be glad you did. Be right back. All right, guys, got a different way that I want to show you how to tie the Bowline knot real quick. Won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but you go ahead and, you got the working end in my right hand, got the standing end in my left hand, making that loop facing the opening, facing towards me, thumb on it. But then what I'm going to do is I want to bring that loop over and pull the rope through the loop to create another loop. Then all you gotta do is take the standing end, run it through that loop, grab it right there, pull that around, and that actually makes that classic bowline. Show you that one more time. Very simple. Make the loop, opening right there towards me, fold it over on the standing end, pull the rope through the loop to create a second loop, run the standing end through, get a hold of it, and then pull it through. And you've got the Bowline knot. A lot of people like tying it that way. It's just more simple for them. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay, next off, I'm going to show you one that you may or may not ever use, but if you ever do want to use it, then you'll be glad you know how to do it. I've got the rope wrapped around me. I've got the standing end in my left hand, the working end in my right hand, with about 8 inches of line beyond my hand when I'm outstretched. I've got the rope around me, around my back and up under my underarms, so I could hold the rope with my underarms closed tight if I needed to. But at this point, I want to take and my working end, cross it over, loop it back through, bring this line up, bring that through, and right back through that knot. And that gives you the Bowline knot. And now you've got it tied around you to where you could actually be pulled up out of a hole or out of a ditch, or if you was in a river or a creek or something and couldn't get out, you could tie this to yourself, and someone above you there could pull you in. You could hold this knot to help support yourself. And this loop, of course, will not tighten up around you, so it's not going to cut your airway off. And you can also, if you're trying to help someone down in a hole, you could tie this knot around yourself, adjusting for the size of that person. Throw it down to them. They could put it up under their arms and hang on to the knot, and you could pull them up. We'll do it one more time. Watch it close. You're going to go across, up and under, around, back through, and then there's your knot. and that is gives you the opportunity to use that to help someone that needs help. The next knot I'm going to show you is actually not even a knot at all. It's actually a hitch, and we're going to attach it to this tree right here. And it's called a timber hitch, and if you tie this timber hitch to this tree, thing you don't have to worry about it giving it all. It'll hold from now on. You got the working end in your left hand, pass it around the tree, come around the tree to the right side, then go underneath the standing end with the working end, come back across. You're creating a loop right there, and then you want to wrap the working end of that rope. You want to just wrap it around and around that side, and then pull it tight. And as you can see the wraps around, and the tighter you pull on that, the more that constricts against that tree. And this will hold from now on, and all the pressure you want to put on it, it won't come loose. And then once you get through, you just simply unwrap the rope from around itself, and you're untied. Let's do it again. Round the tree from left to right, standing in underneath, working in underneath the standing end, come back to make a loop around the standing end, and then start wrapping. Start wrapping. As many wraps as you can. And there you go. You can see the wraps going around itself. And it will not give. It just cinches down on those wraps. It cinches down on itself. It won't give. It won't come loose. And you can put the weight of the world. You could put as much weight as it takes to break this rope on it, and you can still come right back here, because it's not a knot. It's just a hitch, and you're totally free. Can't beat that. That's called the timber hitch. Next knot I'm going to show you how to tie is the figure 8. A lot of people use the figure 8 in climbing to hook to a carabiner on their climbing harness. It's used for a lot of different things, but it's a very easy knot to tie. Bring your working end across and down and make you a loop. Bring it around, and don't tie a square knot. Bring it around and bring it around again, and then run it through that loop, and that gives you the figure 8 knot. You can see that figure 8 just as plain as day right there, can't you? That gives you the figure 8 knot. A lot of people like to tie that with a long tag end, and then they like to finish that with what they call a stopper knot. And the stopper knot I use, if I'm going to use one, is the fisherman knot. I go over, across, and then I run the tag end right up underneath that X right there. And when that's finished tied, that's what it looks like. And that would be your stopper knot. And then you could attach that to whatever you wanted to attach it to, whether it be a carabiner or throw it across your trailer hitch or whatever. And then, and it's a little bit different. I'm going to show you this. If you wanted to tie that figure 8 knot around this tree, you just go ahead and tie a single figure 8 knot, run it around, run it back around, run it through. There's your figure 8. See that? Then you go ahead and wrap it around the tree, Once you wrap it around the tree, you want to just trace back. Trace back. Start following this line. Follow it all the way around. Just keep following it around to make sure you got enough line to do it. Follow it around. So you're just retracing that line. And now you're tied around that tree with the figure-8 knot. It's a pretty knot. It's a good looking knot. That's how you do it. You put it, and we'll show you that. I'm going to show you that one more time. I'll show you that again. Now remember, if you're wanting to tie around this tree, you've got to give yourself a fair amount of line on this working end over here to go around the tree and then trace back through. But just go around the standing end with the working end, come back around again to that point right there, and then go through that loop. And there's your figure-8 knot. Then you go around the tree. And that's why you need extra line, because now that you're around the tree, you want to retrace. You want to start following this line. Just follow it. Follow it up. You see it goes right through here. Then you can see it's going around here, so I'm going to stick it right in here behind those. And then it comes around. See, it comes around here, so I'm going to follow it around here. And then it comes out through that loop, so I'm going to just stick it through that loop, follow it right out that loop. And there's your figure-8 knot. That's another good knot. It will not, the loop itself will not tighten down, and it's a very substantial knot. It'll hold very, very well. This one will untie with a lot of pressure on it, but it will not untie as easy as the bowline. So if you're going to put a ton of pressure on it, pulling or dragging something, the bowline's your better choice. But a lot of people prefer this knot over the bowline for climbing situations and for attaching. Personally, I use this knot some, but normally I'm using the bowline. But I wanted you to see that knot. All right, guys. Well, that was the odd way of, the different way of tying that bowline, and then of course the timber hitch knot, and then the figure-8. And now we're going to set up a scenario and use some of these knots so that give you an idea how well they work. Okay. Here on this tree, we've got the timber hitch. We've got it tied around and attached to this tree at this point. We've got a pulling rope hooked on here with a bowline knot. We went around that tree, come back to this tree with the main rope, went around and tied a trucker's knot, and then cinched it down with a constrictor knot right here. So now what you would use this for is if you were, say you were going to cut that tree, you would have that further up, but you go ahead and get your line run, and then you would tie your middle pull rope to the middle, about the middle ways of that tree, and your cutter gets his notch cut in it. Then he starts cutting from behind, and you can start adding pressure on that rope. By bringing it around that tree, and every time it gets a little more, you can add more pressure to it. And that's a good method for tree cutting. That way you're able to put a whole lot of pressure on that pull rope. See, I mean, I put a ton. That's a ton of pressure. I mean, that thing. If you can tell how tight I've got that pulled. But that, if you had that up at towards the 3/4 up that tree, as it started cutting, you would be able to, by pulling this rope, you'd be able to force it to come this way without anybody being directly behind the tree. And you could have this rope a lot longer than this and be pulling completely, totally out of the realm of any possibility of getting the tree falling on you. This, I just happen to have this rope around. That's the reason I used it. This is not a rope that I would use for that. And that I would use a longer rope for that, but it works great. That way you can manually adjust where that tree is going. If you had a longer rope, then you could go ahead and tie that trucker's knot into that rope, get it around your anchor tree, and use that same process of pulling by utilizing that trucker's knot. You can get a ton of pressure on there really fast. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can you tell how much pressure that rope's got on it? Loaded down. That's totally loading that rope and making it pull this way. Now let's untie everything. Show you how easy it comes untied. Of course, with this trucker's knot, it's a very simple. It's actually a hitch too. Right back through and open. This is our bowline, so we know it's gonna untie even with this soft. This is a soft rope. Even with this soft rope, it unties super easy. Come down here and get our take our constructor knot down. And take the pressure off of that trucker's hitch. Undo it. Right back ready to go. All we did was wrap around that tree and come over here. And this had a lot of pressure on it. The only way I could have put more pressure on it was hook the truck to it. And like I say, if you can unwrap a rope, you can untie the timber hitch, and you're done, and it's off. If you're ever going to use a tree for an anchor point to climb, or if you're going to use a tree to set an anchor point to rappel, that's the knot for you. If you're working on a roof and going to throw a rope across that roof and use a tree to set a line on, timber hitch is the way to go. Tie that timber hitch on that tree and it will not let you down. All right, guys, subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about these knot series, and we'll see you on the next one. We got more to come.